Hey everybody, I wanted to share my predictions for the future in 10 years. So it's 2024 right now, and in 2034, well, we'll see if I'm right. But I've seen YouTube's been around for like 16 years, more like 17 or 18 years actually. And there are some videos where people have predicted things 10 years in the future, then they've done updates. I think, what's his name? Tom Scott, he did one, and I just thought it was interesting, so I wanted to do my own. So here's my presentation. It's mainly going to be from an American perspective. Uh, I mean, your country might change a lot in a different way, but I'm basically going to come at this from an American's perspective, but it'll probably apply to you no matter where you live, no matter what. There's going to be a lot of AI stuff, probably closer to the end, but I'll get to that because I'll be a little bit longer. So I kind of want to go through some things real quick, and then we'll get to the AI because I think that's going to be the biggest change. If you're from a less developed country, like on the surface level, when you go outside in 2034, if you're an American or living in like France or something, and you look at the streets and the cars, it's not going to look that much different. There'll probably be more electric cars or something, but it's probably not going to look much different. Just think about life 10 years ago in 2014. It's not that different. Obviously, if you're in a developing country, it probably has changed a lot in the last 10 years. There's pictures of like Dubai or Shanghai over like a 20-year period, and a lot of things have changed. Let's see here. Most things that change are going to be the standard of living and basically AI. Let's see here. There we go. I guess I got to click because this is a Canva presentation, in case you're wondering. So consumer electronics, phones are going to basically stay the same. So I got an iPhone right here. I put up an iPhone 6, I think it is. I looked up the iPhone that came out in 2014, and it's basically the same. The screen's bigger. There's like no audio jack or whatever. There might be no power cord. I don't even use a power cord. I use the magnet on the back. That's just me, but I think there'll always be a phone type device. I just think this is like the perfect form factor. It's the same with like a laptop. Um, Computers got down to like laptop or they're super thin, like MacBook Airs and stuff. But it's just that form factor is very useful. There'll always be laptops. There'll always be phones, in my opinion. There will be different things, but I think these things are here to stay, and even probably 100 years, I don't know, at least decades from now, we'll still be using these things. But they'll just be more powerful, of course. Wearables, I don't really see wearables becoming that much of a thing. There's smartwatches and stuff. Um, I don't know. I have a smart ring that basically tracks my health and mainly my sleep. But I just don't even like smartwatches when I have an iPhone or iWatch, Apple Watch, but I never use it. I don't really see them wearables changing that much. I kind of can see maybe like I'll explain later, but AI will be more of a thing in AI assistants. So you might have like a lapel pin with a camera with like an AI thing that you can talk to and it'll see and stuff. But I don't really see wearables becoming like they'll be more advanced, but they'll be more like medical trackers. They'll basically be the same, maybe longer battery and stuff, and more accurate technology inside. In VR and AR, when it comes to virtual reality, I think it'll be basically the same. I put up the first consumer Oculus Rift right here, and it hasn't changed much. And it came out in 2016, I believe, so it's like 8 years. And I don't see like it'll get better. Like think about the headsets right now. It basically just there's no screen door effect. The graphics are better, and you can buy like the Oculus Quest that doesn't have to connect to the PC, or you can connect it to the PC and get better graphics. But I don't really see some fundamental change making VR different yet. I think that it'll be bigger, but it'll still be like more of a niche, high-end product. It's not going to be everywhere. AR, I don't think it'll become a thing more than it is. Like you'll still scan things with your phone. Like I use the translator when I go to other countries sometimes, and I scan signs, and it'll say like, when you're ordering food or something, and it'll help, or it'll help translate something. But people have this thing where you'll put on like these glasses and it'll show like AR things around the world and stuff. I don't think that's ever going to become a thing. It just seems annoying to me. It's kind of like a thing. Like there's technologies that can exist, but they don't really need to exist. For example, video game streaming, the latency. There's always a limit to the latency when you're playing a video game, and I was in the beta on the PlayStation 3 when Sony first was doing its remote play thing. So it's been around for a long time, and it worked back then. I played some games on it. It was like in 2013, I think it was. People can look that up, more than 10 years ago. But I don't really see that becoming a thing either. It's just there's certain technologies that can exist and people talk about the feasibility of it, but people aren't really going to use it. And that's kind of what I think about AR. But for VR, there won't be any fundamental changes yet. I think further past 10 years, there will be better VR, which it'll feel like you're there, but not yet, within 10 years. Did I forget anything? No, I don't think so. Let's talk about space. Again, not much, nothing crazy. I think, well, the ISS will be gone, the International Space Station. It should be gone. It's really old. They've been talking about retiring it for a while now. There'll be at least two private space stations, I think. There'll have to be at least one there's a lot of private space station concepts. I don't think a lot of them will get off the ground. There's like Axiom Space, which is, they have contracts and stuff with NASA right now, and they're actually doing them. And so I think that'll be the one that'll basically replace the ISS. And there's like another one. I forget. It's just like one. I forget. There's a bunch of private proposals, but I think there'll only be like two that'll get up within the next 10 years. That'll be mainly for U.S. astronauts and European astronauts. I think there'll definitely be a Chinese space station. I mean, it's already up there. It'll probably be a little bigger. The Russian space station should be up there. They're building it right now. And the Indian space station, I think they'll have theirs up and running too. So there'll be 3 national space stations, and the US will use at least 2 private space stations. No humans on Mars. And don't hate me. I like Elon Musk, but I don't think Starship will be a thing really. And I think it's really going to hamper the Artemis missions. And I think the Artemis missions will get delayed, which are the US moon landing missions. The Chinese have been pretty on the ball and on their mark with their mission goals with space. They haven't been like missing deadlines, and they've actually been beating them by a year or two. So they say they'll land on the moon by 2030. The US says they'll land on the moon by 2026. I think it just got delayed. Yeah, 2026, I think, is what they delayed it to. I think it'll keep being delayed, unfortunately. I think it'll be past 2030. So I think the next people on the moon will be the Chinese. And yeah, I know technically they'll still be second place, and US will be like, oh, we already went there like 50 years or 60 years ago. But it'll still like, I think it'll increase NASA's budget and stuff like that. And then they'll start pumping out Artemis missions more. Russians will also land on the moon. They have a moon plan, and they're building moon stuff too. It's kind of hard to find stuff about it because people are more excited about the Chinese and American stuff. But I think they'll be on there too. I think by 2034, the moon bases for the Russian and US thing, they'll at least have one, the first parts of the station will be there, you know what I mean? But there won't be a permanent moon presence. But both those bases, there's the Russian Chinese base and then the American European base. No Indians on the moon yet, but they'll get there. All right, American healthcare and this one's going to be a shocker, I know. But if you just look at the data and just extrapolate it into the future, I think the trends will just keep continue because I don't think things will get better. For example, Americans will be fatter, and unfortunately, the rest of the world is just following in America's footsteps in this aspect. And yeah, so as you can see, let me see. I don't know if you can tell. In 1999, only 30% of America was obese, and now of adults, and now it's 39%. That's in 2016, so it just gets worse and worse. Um, that's going to go up, and this doesn't even count overweight people. I think overweight people and obese people together make up 70% of the population. You can see on the bottom, that's the youth, 13.9% to 18.5%. So young people are getting bigger too. Um, it's just going to get worse. And I don't see, because healthcare is just going to get more expensive. They're never going to fix it. I kind of lost faith, in our government, American government, fixing certain things in the near future. Um, because there's some such long waiting periods now, and people say like a socialist healthcare system, they have long waiting periods, but we have it too, especially now. So I don't know. I'm not really for or against either one as long as it works. Um, you'll be able to get your prescriptions from AI doctors, and I think that'll be like teledoctors, greatly simplified things and make it easier, increase some access to at least talking to a doctor or a therapist or whatever. I think anti-aging will become a huge thing. Like think about Brian Johnson, if you look him up. Like there'll be more consumer proven things with data behind them that you can buy that'll like slow your aging a lot. But I think most people, I think there'll be you'll see a lot of this coming up in my graph, but I think there'll be people who are healthy and they'll just get even more healthy. And the people who are unhealthy will just get even more unhealthy. So the gap will widen. So there'll be a lot of extra unhealthy people and then some like really healthy people who will like last longer and longer. And, I think, it's kind of a broad thing to say that there'll just be more anti-aging technology, but I just think the industry for that will be even bigger, like a big, huge thing. Um, let's see, like for example, testosterone. That wasn't like a big thing before testosterone replacement, but now a bunch of people in their 50s are taking it to replace the testosterone they're losing, and you see them with bodies that are like really strong and stuff that someone 30 years ago would not have. You'd see a 50-year-old back then, and they look old and wrinkly and weak. But now you see a 50-year-old now, like Joe Rogan or something. But even just, I've seen like so many older people who are just ripped and stuff, but whatever. And medical tourism will increase because, if American healthcare is getting worse, I that's what I look at. Because sometimes I'm like, the doctor's just so expensive. And I live in Washington State. And sometimes I'm like, it'll be cheaper for me to go to Mexico, go to a doctor there and fly back than to go to a doctor here. But whatever. The economy, housing prices will just continue to increase. And that's because, again, you just look at the trend lines of the past, 30 years. It just gets worse and worse, and there's no solution. Nobody really talks about a real solution or attempts at a solution, at least in government. And the prices will just keep increasing. You just look at the data where the US population increases by like about 1.5% to 1% a year, which is like up to 3 million people a year, but there's only 1 million houses or units being built a year. So it's like, okay, then housing has to increase if the amount of homes aren't increasing. And there's no, unless the population just stops growing, which might happen, but immigration will keep coming to America that's not going to stop. Your purchasing power will get worse. Again, you just look at the data, it just keeps getting worse. You could look at those. There's those charts, I didn't put it in here, but it's like the purchasing power of someone from the 1970s stays this, or like just keeps getting worse, or their purchasing power doesn't increase, but then the productivity does increase. And I just don't see that changing, especially with AI. I think I'll get into that later, but I think it'll get worse. The middle class will shrink. You see the chart. There's other charts where you see there's more rich people, like the percentage of rich people are increasing, but also the percentage of poor people is also increasing. So the middle class is shrinking. So there'll just be more income inequality, and I think that'll just keep continuing. And it's a double impact of offshoring jobs more jobs going overseas. That just keeps continuing. Manufacturing, even when you bring manufacturing to America, it's just going to be automation. So it's going to be AI with white collar jobs, but blue collar jobs, a lot of them will be automated away. Yeah, let's see what's going on. Okay, let's get into AI more. How long have I been talking? Ooh, already 15 minutes. Well, AI, there'll be widespread use of AI. This is pretty obvious. I use AI a lot. Like I just use Chat GPT instead of searching for something, because looking on Google now, it's just flooded with crap. A lot of it's AI generated crap now. Most things on the internet are now AI generated, unfortunately, and I think that's just going to get worse too. But if I need to look up a recipe, I'll just ask the AI first because it'll give me, a result instantly, like how long I cook something on the grill or whatever. Many jobs will be replaced. Think about anything done at a computer, like completely within a computer, like what I'm doing now, for example. Unfortunately, which is why I'm using my face when I'm building this channel, kind of so people will relate to me. Because if I do a faceless channel, I feel like I can get replaced easier. But I want you guys to connect to me, you know? Because I think that'll be important. Telemarketers, like even now I see audio AI. It's just almost indistinguishable from a real human. And I see AI channels where they did make the switch, like they used to have AI or human voiceovers, and they switched it to AI. Like they just converted the host's voice to AI, and 99% of the people don't even notice. Artists are going to be replaced, accounting, anything at the PC, like I said. Teachers, think about like Duolingo, um, anything. Like when you go to like McDonald's or something, they might have a screen there. So like some people want to go in person. They'll be an AI person just sitting there, and they'll talk to you, and you can still order with your voice, and it'll just be just like a teenager sitting there, except they'll never like curse at you or say anything wrong. They'll just always say the right thing. And there might be even robots making the burgers in the back, which isn't really bad. Like a lot of this sounds kind of cool, but I don't know how the economic impacts that. Like, how are we going to solve that? Like, you're not going to be able to get a job. Sorry, I got a text. I'm not going to edit this. Um, Respond. It's my wife, because luckily I had my wife before all this crap started. Um, because that's perfect. It comes into my next thing. AI assistants. Everyone's gonna have an AI assistant, like what I do. Um, when I talk to my, when I ask it questions, like sometimes I just need a quick answer to something, and you used to be able to Google something, but that just takes too long, and I could just ask the AI. And sometimes it's not right. There's still hallucinations, like it makes up data, but that'll get better, and they'll fix that. Um, Instant translations, you can already do that with your phone, but like think about, I see scams all the time too, but sorry, I'm kind of jumping everywhere, but like think about Mr. Beast, and he's had his like Spanish channels and Japanese channels, but then YouTube added the way to just have his main channel, and then when you open up a Mr. Beast video in Japan, it automatically changes the dialogue into Japanese. So he kind of just abandoned those other channels. But think about it this way: you open up a Mr. Beast video, and his mouth, he speaks in his voice, and his mouth moves in Japanese. And I've seen this already, of people translating things, like of other people speaking fluent like Japanese or whatever, and it's interesting. And it's in their voice and stuff. So you'll be able to watch Mr. Beast videos, any kind of video. Like you'll see worldwide stars, and people will get used to their voice and listening to them in like German or Japanese or Spanish. But in reality, those people aren't going to be, speaking those languages. But you'll see these like these world stars that'll truly like influencers and stuff. Um, and of course, there's already people with AI girlfriends and stuff, AI partners. This is going to get even worse. I put a picture of what's her name, Joy from Blade Runner 2049. The guy has like a hologram girlfriend. That's going to be way more popular now. Uh, like just I can't even imagine in 10 years. Like so many people are. It's going to be a combination of this kind of stuff, AI girlfriends, and the economy getting worse. I think because this is going to be a huge disruption. It's going to take a while for people to figure out what's going to happen. And when you look at like the birth rate, it has to be 2.1 people per woman, or a woman has to have 2.1 children, so a population remains stable. If the average woman has less than 2.1 children, then the population will decline unless there's like a bunch of immigration. So if you look at like I think it was South Korea has the worst. They have less than 0.7% uh, births per woman, so they have a third of the replacement level. Japan's really bad. America's starting to decline. Like a lot of everywhere, the populations are declining, and now I feel within the next 10 years, I'm talking about mainly the US, but this can apply basically anywhere, with people aren't going to need girlfriends anymore, emotional attachment, a romantic partner, because the AI will never, say the wrong thing to you. And the economy is going to be so bad, you're not going to want a girlfriend or a wife or have kids. And I think it'll just get exponentially worse. And even like, there's no way immigration can replace this. And I've seen people talk about it too. Even the countries that these people are coming from, they're having these problems. So, all South America, they have less than a 2.1% birth rate, or 2.1 birth rate per woman or whatever. Same with Europe, like except for Africa. Africa's like the only place, and even that's like dropping off dramatically. So the sources of immigration are going to start declining too, unless you like drastically lower the standards. And because the economy is going to go worse, people aren't going to want to come. Mexico, for example, the immigration rate between Mexico and the U.S. has been stagnant for the last decade or so. Most people coming over the border are from Central America, Venezuela, and I think once those countries kind of run out of people that are willing to come, I mean, where are they going to come from? What else do we have here? Oh, I forgot to put a title at the third spot. I think everything will be flooded with, like everything already is flooded with bots and automation. I just see automated YouTube channels and AI YouTube channels all over the place now, and it's just the beginning of the AI revolution. And you'll be able to make a AI. I mean, you see it in Instagram too. There's AI models and stuff. Like it's there's a thing called dead internet theory, where most things on the internet are considered. My wife's talking to me. Or people make what was I talking about? Um Damn it. See? Your girlfriend's never gonna text you randomly when you're doing something. But oh yeah, the majority of there's a dead internet theory. The theory is eventually most things on the internet will you'll be just talking with bots and stuff like that, and interacting with bots. And already people say most of the internet is bots. But in the future, like it could be 90% of the internet is bots. Like think about 90% of the comments being bots, fake interactions, fake influencers. There's already fake influencers, but there'll already be videos of like YouTube channels with you'll see a face like my face 10 years from now, and there'll be no way to determine if that person's an AI or not. Sorry, I got heartburn. which is kind of why I want to get this channel out now and people like know me and I want to be a real person in the future and do this channel. But uh, I don't even know how the internet will work. There'll probably be like um, social media platforms where you have to put in your like government ID, and then all those people have to be verified, so you know you're talking to a person. Like I think something like that would take off. Um, and think about like you could already make AI art, and it looks really good, and people have opinions on that and stuff. And let me tell you something. I know like AI is being used in probably every video game. In 2024, every video game has some type of AI being used in it, whether it's in programming or translation or in the art. Even if it's just 1% of the production, it's probably closer to 10% now. But in the future, you'll probably be able to um, say like, sorry, you'll probably be able to say like, I want to make a play a Dark Souls game. Can you make me a Dark Souls game? And the AI will just make a Dark Souls game. Oh, I want to watch a new Blade Runner movie. I really like Blade Runner 2049. Just make one with that and make and put this actor in there, and you can just make it, and you'll probably be able to run it on your own PC. What's that going to do to the movie industry? The movie industry is already suffering a lot right now. Nobody wants to go back to movies right now. Most movies suck. They're re-releasing Spider-Man and like the old Star Wars Episode 1 because people don't even want to go to the movies anymore. The new, I think the new Dune went really well. What's that movie? Furiosa just came out, the new Mad Max movie, and it bombed. Nobody wants to go to movies anymore. And most movies kind of suck now. So, which is kind of cool because you can take back control and the consumer can watch whatever they want and play whatever they want. But what's that going to do to like Hollywood? What's that going to do to all the video game programmers and stuff? Who knows? And because of this, I think there will be calls for UBI, Universal Basic Income. I think calls for socialism. I'm not going to make any political statements, but I think socialism will become a larger thing. I think because one of the arguments against socialism, like libertarianism, is you're going to have to compel people to, if you guarantee someone like a doctor, then you have to compel someone to be a doctor. Like that's a libertarian argument. But there'll be AI doctors, there'll be AI workers. Probably not walking around robots. I don't really see robots being a thing yet. But this is just the first steps, and it kind of takes the power out of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Am I forgetting anything? YouTubers, AI girlfriends, birth rate collapse. Yeah, not actual androids yet, but more automation. Yeah. Let's finish this out. Just a couple of like fun things. I'm going to talk about geopolitics. Russia. I think Russia's eventually going to win, and what I mean by win is they're going to partition Ukraine. They'll take. This is I forget what election this is, or what year this is. I think this is like 2014 or 2013. But the eastern part is mainly Russian speaking, and the western part is mainly Ukrainian speaking. I think Russia will eventually like win, take that territory. And then the western part, I don't think they'll just say like you can't join NATO or the EU. And I think because of this, the US and EU will kind of lose face. You know what I mean? I think Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, if you don't know about this, don't worry about it, will kind of move towards Russia because they won't trust, NATO to protect them. So they'll willingly move towards Russia a little bit or more so. After that, I don't think NATO will, the war will escalate. There'll be no escalation, but this probably won't happen until 2025. I think people always talk down about China. There's a lot of predictions about the economy of China. I think China will surpass the U.S. economy, and the GDP will surpass the U.S. GDP in 2034. And I think because of the Ukraine war, I think Taiwan will be like, crap, I don't think the US is going to help us out. And they'll peacefully join China in some way. Not fully, but they'll probably do some kind of Hong Kong situation, or at least, join the sphere of influence, some kind of commonwealth. There's already people, I kind of look at it a little bit. There's already politicians in Taiwan that talk about this. They don't win yet, but I think that's what's going to happen. And of course, this is going to be obvious. The US will be in another war in the Middle East. Shocker. But I'm going to make a prediction. I think it'll be in Yemen probably soon, probably after the election, because the 2024 election. And I think the next president, either Biden or Trump, Biden might stay in office. Who knows? I don't really know. Trump just got indicted for felonies for that hush money thing. So I don't know how that'll affect things. I'm gonna guess that one too. I'm gonna predict Trump will win, and I think he'll pardon himself on some things, and that'll be a huge thing too. But whoever president's in 2025 or later, I think there'll be another war in the Middle East. Yemen, maybe Lebanon. I think that might be another option. We already have troops in Syria and Iraq still. We're not going to go back to Afghanistan. If there is an invasion, I don't think there'll be an invasion of Iran. If there is, it'd be a disaster because Iran's just full of mountains. They're large, and Russia and China would just give them stuff and support them. I think it'll be a bad choice. And yeah, those are my predictions. Hopefully I'm right in 2024. We'll see. Or 2034. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.